Welcome to the Worst of the Riot podcast. Coming up, why you should be dating somebody from the other political party.
Also, splitting the bill, do's and don'ts, and more on the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
I have a woman here that is accused of a monumental crime. This woman is accused of stealing $103 million from the United States Army.
That's not a good place to steal from.
Yeah, well, it does make you wonder. I guess it doesn't say much for her that she would steal $103 million from the Army. It doesn't particularly say much for the Army either, that they allowed $103 million to get stolen from them. But this is how she did it. This gal, her name is Janet Yamanaka Mello. She's 57 years old, and she did it. Obviously, she didn't walk into some storehouse and steal a bunch of cash. Instead, over time, she submitted a bunch of fraudulent paperwork that indicated that a company that she owned was entitled to receive funds from the Army. And so she was I guess, good at submitting this paperwork that made it seem like it was legit. And then in turn, she would get money from the Army. And then she used that. This is what's crazy too, to just buy up all this stuff. $103 million she stole, allegedly. She bought 31 homes, 78 vehicles, including a fleet of motorbikes, 16 Harley Davidsons, 5 Triumphs, 4 Ducatis, 2 BMWs, and a 1955 Ferrari Fratelli 165 racer. And obviously she bought other stuff as well. Jewelry, went on expensive trips. She was living a wild lifestyle. And it's one of those things to me where don't you think wouldn't one home and one motorcycle have been enough? And she may never have been caught. But instead she had to keep on going.
Yeah, clearly this is not one of those times where she was being frugal with the money that she had stolen.
Some
but
criminals,
at the same time, maybe she thought that she was going to get caught. So she's like, well, you know what? I'm going to live it up.
Yeah.
I'm going to live it up now because I'm going to get caught.
A real go big or go home situation for her. Yeah, some criminals they'd be grateful they get away with it one time. And they're like, well, that's enough for me. Wipe the sweat from my brow. And now I've got this nice new car and house. But for her, she's like, I guess she got addicted. And there probably is some aspect of it too, where once you don't get caught a time or two, you're like, well, now
I've got him.
I mean, if they haven't caught me by now,
I fooled them.
Yeah.
I won one over on them.
Duped. Bamboozled them.
The government just ain't got it on me.
Yeah. The Army, they think the United States Army, all the funding, all the masterminds in there, the geniuses, but they're no match for me. Janet Mello, I've got them. But now it's all coming back to bite her. She's going to have to forfeit all of the stuff if she is eventually found guilty. She's going to have to forfeit all the stuff that she bought with this money, at least all the stuff they can prove she bought with this money. And you look through the charges. I mean, there is just a laundry list of them, but at the same time, it does not feel apt to somebody stealing $103 million from the Army at the same time, you know?
But isn't it wild that she stole $103 million from the Army in just 5 years or so, and in just a short couple of years?
Yeah.
Like that, for any other company, that would be a monumental amount of money. That would be a quarter of what they're worth.
Yeah.
But for the U.S. Army, they have so much money that they are willing to give one person, one company, that much money, and they don't even notice for multiple years. That's what's insane to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, in 2022, the U.S. Army spent $877 billion. A lot of money. But they were willing to give her company and her $103 million. That's just a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
A ridiculous amount.
I don't know enough about it to know, but it does raise some questions about what other money is getting.
Who's stealing from us now?
Yeah, who else is it?
These are our tax dollars here. She's stolen from me. Where's my cut?
That's right. I want one of these motorcycles.
See, I thought that this was all going to, the Army and what we really need to be going to. Instead, she's just buying houses with the money that I've been given to the Army. Ridiculous.
The stories you love with the opinions you hate. The Riot Radio U.
There were other games in the NFL over the weekend that didn't involve the Packers, Cowboys, and your Brownies. Isaiah, I want to know, out of all the highlights from the weekend, what is another takeaway that you have that doesn't involve the Packers crushing the Cowboys?
So no Packers crushing the Cowboys.
Yeah.
No Browns getting blown out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was really only one good game this weekend, which was the Rams versus the Lions, which was a great game.
That's the only game that was truly in question in the fourth quarter, which is crazy. 6 playoff games, only one that was really close.
And that was obviously a fantastic game. Everyone kind of knew that one was a toss-up coming in with the Rams and Lions. People were very split on that game, and that felt like really the only game that people were split on, because I feel as if the Chiefs were a heavy favorite coming in against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They blew out the Dolphins, as a lot of people expected, just with the weather by itself was working heavily against Miami.
Yeah.
The Bills crushed the Steelers. That was kind of seen as coming. Unfortunate end to the Steelers season. They obviously overachieved yet again, making the playoffs with Mike Tomlin. And then last night, on one of the biggest shockers, the Buccaneers crushing the Eagles 32-9. The Eagles in disarray in the second half of the season.
Yeah, they were in disarray. So now their coach, his future is in question. Nick Sirianni. I also think a couple of things that I thought from the weekend. One, I was real disappointed when the Bills-Steelers game was moved from Sunday to, it was supposed to be Sunday at 1 Eastern, moved to yesterday at 4:30. And I was real disappointed when I saw that, because I was like, man, it'd be so cool to see a game played in those conditions. But then again, I don't have to play or attend the game in those conditions. And then you saw it, if you haven't seen the highlights of like the Bills fans, that they had to get fans, because they just had to get all hands on deck because there was so much snow and such extreme conditions, to get these people to come out and help them clean up the stadium to get it ready for the game. And it looked miserable. I mean, they were having a good time, but it looked, in the highlights, they're having a good time. I think generally when their feet were frozen and they had been out there for hours, it probably wasn't all that fun. So I understand them moving the game, but it would have been cool if there was any way they could have played it. The weather was wild. The other thing is, I feel like the Cowboys and Dolphins now, this is a tough position, because do you agree with this, Isaiah? I think they realize, you should realize if you're a fan or if you're a part of the team, that you have a quarterback that's good, but he's just not good enough to ever get you a Super Bowl. But then again, there's like 6 of those. So what do? Do you just keep middling through, or do you try to move on and try to find something else just because you know what you have is good, but it's not good enough?
Yeah, it's like the worst, it's like the best worst position to be, because you know that you're always going to be right there to make the playoffs. You probably have a good chance of making the playoffs every year with this quarterback that's above average, a solid quarterback, a good quarterback, but just not quite a great quarterback. And even as fantastic a year as Dak had, I mean, he was up for the MVP. Many people think he should have won or should win the MVP. And same thing with Tua, in the running for the MVP throughout the entire regular season. And then you get to the playoffs and it just doesn't work how you want it to. And it's one of the toughest spots to be in the NFL, is being in the middle. Yep,
in the in-between.
In the in-between. You're not like one of the greatest teams. Like, you don't have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, and you don't have someone who can really take you to the Super Bowl, but you're not one of the bottom feeders, so you're never going to have the first overall pick to maybe get the guy. And so it's really a tough position to be in. I mean, there's no way the Cowboys or Dolphins don't run it back with their current quarterbacks.
Next year for sure,
And everybody there should be grateful, because they are both good quarterbacks and you have good seasons. But it is a tough position to be in.
If podcast awards were ever a thing, this show wouldn't win any. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
The question is, if you get delivered the wrong DoorDash order, is it okay to eat it anyways? Because we have a gal here. She put in an order, it looks like from Panera Bread. Her order was around about $18. The order she got instead is an order that would have been about $48. She got much more food than she bargained for. And instead of returning it or anything like that, she ate the $48 order. And on top of it, she got a refund as well because it was the wrong order. Would you do this? Is she right or wrong?
It's hard to say she's wrong. Because what is she going to do, you know?
Yeah.
Like, is she going to call? Who's she going to call? Who do you contact?
I mean,
what do you say? What do you even do? Like, if this happened to me, I wouldn't even know what steps to take to try to get this person their food.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't receive my food either.
Well, it'd be an egregious breach of privacy if there was some way for you, by looking at the receipt of the order or something like that, there shouldn't be a way if you get the wrong order to know who, anything other than the name of the person who ordered it and what they ordered. You shouldn't be able to, there shouldn't be their phone number on there. There shouldn't be their address, right?
No, there definitely shouldn't be.
That would be problematic.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is by the time you get it to them anyway, it's going to be cold. The food's going to be cold.
It would be cold. Would they even want it from you?
No.
If DoorDash made the mistake and the person who in question who ordered the $48 order that didn't get what they ordered, they would want it remade anyways if they found out it went to you.
And the
right?
the other part of this too is people are assuming, and for this lady, she did make the TikTok and she kind of spun it in a positive light that she got $48 worth of food when she only ordered 18.
Yeah.
But for many people, probably like me, this would not be a fun spin. I would be upset.
Yeah, because what are the odds that it's actually something you would want?
Exactly. And I'm a picky eater, so
Yeah.
I knew that if I got a bunch of people's random food, it wouldn't even... She had like a Chipotle bowl and these sandwiches, and the likelihood that the $48 worth of food would have been... I would have said, I want what I ordered.
I mean,
I spent $18 to get exactly what I wanted, and I want exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
I don't want this other person's random mismatching of food that, yeah, it might be worth $50 to them, but this is worth $0 to me because I would never order this.
There was potato chips in there. So
Oh yeah,
at least
now
you
it's
could
worth $1.50, and I'm out $17.
Yeah, well, she got a refund too. Let's say, walk through the scenario, the one that she's in, that she got the wrong order, but she's psyched because it's food she wants to eat. Would you still request the refund for your food that you didn't get?
Yes.
Even though you got more than you bargained for.
Yes. They didn't deliver me the service I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you go through the drive-thru at McDonald's and they say, "Oh, we made your burger wrong," but sometimes they let you keep it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And just because they let you keep it doesn't mean you had to pay for it.
Yeah. You know, she's actually, if she asked for just the refund and didn't ask for her actual food that she ordered to be redelivered, she's actually being nice.
Yes, she is.
She's actually doing DoorDash
She's doing them a major favor.
Yeah.
Because realistically, she should have kept the food that they gave her, gotten her $18 back, or not gotten her $18 back and made the Uber driver go get her real food.
Yeah. She, I don't understand the hate she's getting right now. She did.
Like, what would
I
other
don't
people
think she
do?
did any. What is the alternative?
You're going to go drive, you're going to call DoorDash and be like, "Hey, where do I take this food?"
Yeah.
Like, what else was she supposed to do?
Send
Was she
it-
supposed to not eat it? Because
It
it's
would
somebody
just-
else's and I'm going to hold on to it and hope that
Yeah.
DoorDash comes back. They're not coming back.
Yeah, none of that makes any sense. We're with you, whatever your name is.
Radio U's Worst of the Riot podcast.
You're just talking about whether it's possible and advisable to date somebody with different political views than you. And after talking about it for a few minutes and some good texts coming in, I feel like, Isaiah, we both come to a conclusion that not only is it possible, it actually might be preferable. There's definitely some positives to it.
Yeah, I think both sides, one way, it doesn't have to be like complete opposites.
Yeah, that's a rare case, I think.
Yeah, but on the other end of it, you have to have somebody who's gonna like be your checks and balances a little bit.
Mhm.
Like if you're super far one way and they're also just as far one way, you guys are gonna be having some wild thoughts because you're just sitting in your house reassuring each other
Yeah.
nonstop. And no matter who you are, or no matter how much you believe, you know people that are way one way or way another way. And if they're both going the same path, that's almost the wildest combination. You need someone to be like, that's kind of silly. You need someone to do that.
Yeah.
And whether you believe them or not, you need them to say it.
Yeah, that's right. That's at least you have that lurking in the back of your mind that they might not approve. That can be a good thing to know somebody you care about and loves you and you love them to know they might not approve of some kind of behavior or thought process or whatever. It's good to have that as a check for sure.
Yeah, because you got to think too, like, even if you don't fully agree, like, she's still like your wife or whatever, so you still love her, even if you think some of the things that she says, like, might be completely wrong, or you think might be really idiotic or whatever it is.
Sounds like my wife.
You got to quit it.
Come on.
Quit it. Can we not be mature? Maniacal. But either way, you just need someone to be your checks and balances.
Yeah. It is important for somebody to step in, for somebody. It's so important to have somebody you love that's able to say to you, and you trust them to say, hey, maybe that's a little over the edge. Maybe you're a little too far. You got to rethink this a little bit. And that can come from your dating or your husband or wife or whatever. It can come from friends, family. But I can tell you that this is whether in regards to politics or anything in life, that God can do that for you too. That Jesus is always there, accessible, ready to be the check and balance in your life. And he's the best check and balance anybody could have. And sometimes that might not sound like a lot of fun to have somebody who's going to be like, whoa, you're going a little crazy there. But think about how they could also save you from so much trouble that you can get into by going with your more extreme, more wild thoughts. And we all have them. Jesus is there to help out with that, to be that check and balance that you need. And it's as easy as saying, hey, God, I want some help here. I want to make sure I'm not going over the edge. Help me with that. And he will. You want to know more? Check out RadioU.com/free gift.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The worst of the riot. Radio U.
And for me anyways, maybe it's just because I don't live in the world of Botox. But when I think of Botox, I think face, right? But more and more I'm learning, and other people are as well, that it doesn't have to just only be Botox for the face. I do remember this. Other people have said and gone with trap talks, making your trapezius muscles look real good. And now a new trend is using Botox on your calves as well. Make them look nice and slim and shapely.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm liking that.
Isaiah, would you ever Botox your calves?
I'm sorry, ladies. I don't know if you saw or not. These short shorts. My recently done calf muscles. Pardon me and these perfect calves. My eyes are up here, ladies. I don't know why you're looking at my recently done calves.
Yeah, your ankles.
I like this.
I'm looking at it. It was at first I was like, now come on. You're really going to do Botox in the calves? But then I'm looking at the before and after pictures, and I'm telling you that this is some of the most convincing before and after Botox pictures I've seen, is using it on your calves. It actually is. I mean, I guess you wouldn't look at somebody's calves and be like, ugh. But you look at the before and after, and you look how much better it looks. And so it feels like a thing of people aren't going to notice. They're not going to be like, whoa, did you get Botox in your calves? But it will be a noticeable difference of like, wow, those are some impressive calves.
Look at them calves.
Yeah.
In my mind, I mean, my calves are fine. I don't even know what they look like, really. Do you know what your calves look like?
It's hard to see them from all the hair. Through all the hair.
They're under there.
Yeah.
For me, this doesn't
So it probably wouldn't make a big difference for me.
This doesn't seem like something I really need. But also, nobody's ever told me, like, hey, man, you got nice calves. Anybody ever said that to you?
Yeah.
No one's ever told me that.
I've never been complimented on that, but it is something that would feel good to hear.
Look at them calves.
Yeah.
And then what if you got, what would really stink, is if you got the Botox done, right?
Yeah.
You get the Botox on your calves because you're going out on a boating trip this summer.
Yeah.
And you show up in your swim trunks, you got them hiked up real high, and you're just waiting all day. Like, is anybody gonna say anything about my calves?
You just keep kicking your feet up.
Yep. You keep
like
on
rubbing them.
You're like lunging. You got a leg on the side of the boat. You're just lunging forward and back.
The Captain Morgan position.
Does anybody notice anything different about me? Anything that looked a little bit better? You're waiting all day for someone to come on your calves. You never get it.
You just start mooing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say for me, a waste of money, but would be a nice compliment.
I would be concerned though, and it's hard to tell from these pictures. What if like you get again, I don't really know much about butt so I don't know how it works. What if you get the injections in your calves, and your calves are looking all good, but then from the knee up, it's like a total change.
Oh yeah,
like your calves are on point, but your thighs,
all of a sudden, they're
look
looking bad.
Dastardly, yeah. By comparison,
like
even.
You're going back to like early 2000s baggy shorts again. You have them over the knees. That way, people can only see your calves. No thigh in sight.
You got to get exactly like the 9-inch. You got to find the right shortcut for you because you get them too short, and all of a sudden, your thighs are ruining everything.
You got them nice calves, but them knees, boy, them knees ain't looking right.
Nobody does it better. The Riot Radio U.
Somehow, some way, we've got NayNay not just to come into work today, because I feel like that's an accomplishment, but we got him to come in early so that we can roast him after all that smack talk on Friday. It's time for NayNay to face the music. NayNay, what happened to your Cowboys?
The demolition that Dak did was not supposed to be that demolition.
The demolition to your heart.
The Dallas Cowboys are ruined. What are we supposed to do? We had a meltdown. We were supposed to win. What went wrong?
Everything.
Why am I wearing this Dak Prescott jersey right now?
I can't
Why am
believe
I
you didn't
doing it?
Throw that out, or you could burn it if you want. I'll get rid of it for you.
I wanted to call in sick. I wanted to not come in. But I done got drug into this station once again. A pick six? How do you throw a pick six? I don't understand.
Dak threw a pick. This man right here threw a pick six. I'm like, how do you throw a pick six?
That's it. Tony Pollard, gone. Mike McCarthy, gone. Dan Quinn, gone. J-Ron Curse, gone. Neville Gallimore, gone.
I don't even know who that is.
Stephon Gilmore, gone. I want them all out. Get them out. I don't want them here anymore.
What's crazy is...
Leave.
Do you remember on Friday when I said, what will it take when Dak Prescott has a dud of a game? I said on Friday, what will it take? When will you finally blame him? Are you finally blaming him?
It was supposed to be our year. And it still can be, baby. You see, you thought I was talking about 2024, in which I was right. The 2024 to 2025 season is our year, baby.
They're back again.
When Bill Belichick comes to Dallas, when Derrick Henry comes to Dallas, you better watch out because the league will be put on notice. Ladies and gentlemen, book it. It's our time, and it's coming.
Man, until the playoffs come around.
Year in, year out.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the aspirations of the Cowboys. Nothing makes me happier than hearing
This is the year that I think something very special could be happening.
it could be any year, but this is the year.
That's
no matter
right.
what year it is.
That's right.
Man, I'm glad I'm not like you. I don't have to wait. It can be my year now.
This could be your year, Hudson.
I mean, it already feels like our year. Even if we lose, even if the Packers lose to the 49ers, it still feels like a success. I am finding myself getting into the danger zone though, because now I'm starting to think, could we beat the 49ers
oh no,
as a Packers
Hudson,
fan?
don't.
Don't do that.
So then, now that I'm starting to think that's going to make it hurt more if
Don't do it.
they do lose. But hear what I'm saying? If in the meantime, but I don't want to move on to that game too quick because I just want to keep thinking about, honestly, it felt like the Super Bowl. If the Packers, the way they won against your Cowboys, it felt like the Super Bowl to me. It really did.
Well, good, because that's as close as you're going to get to it.
Did you see, guys, the video at the beginning of the game of the fans rushing into the stadium?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
And did anybody else think when the fans were rushing in, it was like, oh, because this is the last game they're going to see of the year, and so they want to spend as much time in the stadium as possible?
Oh, my.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Truly an incredible way. And I was just impressed at the demolition that Dak did.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, that's one of the most, the best demolitions I've ever seen.
I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see the demolition that Dak will do.
That'll never get old.
He didn't just, he didn't do the demolishing that you thought he would. It was to the Cowboys, to the team, to the entire organization, to every single one of their fans.
To Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, that's right. He demolished Mike McCarthy's career.
To NayNay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing better than hearing that. The demolition that he will do.
Yeah. It's that's as good as it gets right there. I wish I could bottle this, and anytime I'm feeling down, just feel this again.
Just bring it
Just
back.
pop a bottle of the demolition that Dak will do.
This is Radio U's Worst of the Riot.
Where do you fall on this, Isaiah? I have a guy here who out on a first date, and he asked his date to split the bill with him. Now, it sounds like he intended to pay when the date got started. But then the gal he was out on a date with ordered an appetizer for the table for the two of them, but it's something he didn't like. And so at that point, he's like, can we split the bill? Because I didn't even touch the appetizer. And it's wild then because he goes on and you see them filming later on of like they just argued about it. Like that was the date pretty much of them arguing whether she should pay half of it. So needless to say, a second date not in the cards. But she ordered an appetizer for the table that he didn't want to eat. How do you go forward from there?
See, on this one here, I saw this video over the weekend.
Yeah.
And he asked in the video, he's like, would you mind like splitting the bill?
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, why would we split the bill? Obviously, you asked me out on a date. Why would I pay? Yada, 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 whatever. And he said, well, you ordered an appetizer that I, didn't ask or want. And I didn't touch it. And it was their first date. And then they spend a lot of time arguing whether or not they should split the bill. And at that point, if you're arguing about splitting the bill, you need to split the bill because this is going nowhere.
Right.
I mean, it's not like you're going to get this. There's no second date here at this point. If this is such a huge argument, like this isn't, you're not wrapping this back around. So for that reason, I think alone that you should for sure be splitting the bill.
Yeah. I'll tell you, one, I wish I knew what the appetizer was. And I want to know how things were going down leading up to the appetizer order. Was that discussed in any way? I wish I had more background. Obviously, this guy sucks.
Wait, which guy?
The guy.
Why do you think he sucks?
You can't, after the fact, ask to split the bill.
What are you talking about? It wasn't like he said in the beginning, I'm going to pay for it. And then he came back around and said, I'm no longer going to pay for it. He just said at the end of the date, can we split the bill?
Yeah, but if she ordered the appetizer, I think that's a part of the date.
Yeah, but so you're saying that the man has to pay for the first date?
I think if he came in with the expectation that he was going to pay, if both parties, which is typically a first date, how it works, then you can't change the rules later on.
But there was no rules that were set. It wasn't like he came in and said, hey, I'm going to ask you out on a date and I'll pay for your drinks and your food.
If you ask somebody out on a date, then you're implying that you will pay. Whether you're a guy or a gal.
Are you talking about?
You can't ask somebody else out and say, hey, can you pay for me?
No, I'm not saying, can you pay for me? I'm saying, so you're saying every first date that a person goes on, the man should pay for it every time.
I'm saying the asker should pay every time.
The asker should pay. I don't think that's right.
Unless you agree before anybody orders anything. You have to, otherwise, I don't know. But would you agree that then wouldn't it be simpler if the guy always paid, if that was the assumption?
Well, I just think that there should be no expectations anybody's going to pay for you if you're going on a date. Like, I think if you're going on a first date, I mean, when I went on first dates, I've paid because that's what I do.
Yeah.
But if we went on a date and I said, let's split the bill and you scoffed at that, then that would be a red flag to me. This is our first date.
But paying for the other person is what makes it a date.
That's not what?
That's what makes it a date.
How's that make it a date? The date is the time you spent together. It's not about me. So a date is just me buying you something now? That's a date? If we go to Kroger and I buy your groceries, now this is a date.
That's
and it wasn't
not
a date that we spent time together. It's because I bought your groceries. It's a date. I think if you go on a date, you shouldn't be expecting anyone to pay for you, but it would be nice if they did.
Can we agree on this? If you ask somebody on a date, you should be prepared and expecting to pay for both of you.
I think you could have your card ready, but I'm not. If you don't want to pay, you don't have to pay for them on the date. If it's your first date, I think if it's your first date, you're not forced to pay for them. You can easily go 50-50.
But in your world, here's what sucks, is that you could get asked out on a date and be like, okay, I'll go. And then it's not a great date. And then they fork you half the bill.
Yeah, that's the risk of going on a date. If I go on a date, if I ask a girl on a date and she's horrible, I'm going to just pay for her food now.
You asked.
Yeah, but still, it's your first date. You're never forced to pay on the first date.
I can't believe this. The asker should pay.
Wasn't that a great Riot clip? While you're here, you should watch more of our videos and subscribe so you don't miss what we do next.